October trial that imaging makes a difference. It makes a difference over plain angiography guided bifurcation angioplasty. So what would I use? Either IVUS or OCT. For bifurcation angioplasty, what I use is distal left main bifurcation, non-left main bifurcation PCI, I use OCT. For short left main and ostial left main PCI, I use IVUS. So let me show you one case. 70-year-old female, she came to us with NSTEMI, significant left main bifurcation disease. We did OCT. So this is how you use OCT in bifurcation angioplasty. You will look for the morphology. Okay, here we saw that's a fibrotic morphology. And this is the left main. You look for the size of the left main because you need to know your size of pot balloon. You will look for the distal reference diameter where you want to put the stent because you want to size your stent as per that. Three more things that you need to see on OCT in bifurcation angioplasty is cranial tip angle. If this cranial tip angle is less than 50 and your cranial tip to bifurcation point length is less than 1.7, so there is a risk of side branch compromise. A third thing that you should always look at is what is the composition of plaque opposite to the side branch ostium. If I am having a large calcified nodule opposite to the side branch and I am going for a provisional strategy and not modifying this nodule, I may shift my stent there and there will be cranial shift and there are more chances of side branch compromise. So in bifurcation angioplasty, beside you are looking for morphology, lesion length and diameter, you have to look for three things: CT angle, CT-BP length, and third is composition of your plaque opposite to that of side branch ostium. So here the angle was favorable, CT-BP length was favorable. We went ahead, prepared the vessel, and we get away with a single stent. And after you have placed the stent, the result was good. So after you have placed the stent, you have to look for the distal edge dissection. There is no distal edge dissection, no proximal edge dissection. In left main bifurcation angioplasty, we look at expansion and MS is different at the left main as well as in the LAD. And this is a side branch ostium. You can reconstruct the side branch ostium, see whether it's a link type or link free type of carina. I'll discuss it later. So it's another case. Significant left main bifurcation disease. So let us see what the OCT says. When we did the OCT, we found that the lesion is calcified. There is a eccentric calcified nodule. This is the mountain of nodule. So I need to prepare this nodule before putting a stent. If I don't prepare this nodule, my stent will get, it get deviated this side. There will be cranial shift. Then there will be side branch compromise. So we prepared this vessel with the IVL. IVL showed a beautiful deep cuts, and followed by we place the stent from left main to LAD. I'll show you the result. This is another important step for the provision strategy. Pot, that is the most important step, and you should be careful that where it should be your distal marker of balloon. It should not go beyond the carina. So this is the pot balloon being kept. This is the OCT after that. This is the side branch ostium. This is the angiographic result. Just see, nothing happened to all the three side branches because we prepared the nodule that was opposite to the side branch ostium. So important question that needs to be answered in left main provision stent strategy is, do we need kissing balloon inflation in provision stent strategy? We don't have answer to it. Yes, we don't have answer for left main bifurcation angioplasty. Right now, we are doing one randomized control trial with a sample size of around 700 IKIS left main trial where we are trying to answer whether we need to go for routine KBI in provision stent strategy or not. I'll show you one case. Significant ostial LAD disease and LCX ostium also disease, though it's not significant. So we decided to go ahead with the provision strategy. We did the left main to LAD run. We can see the side branch ostium. We saw what is the plaque morphology, left main diameter, distal reference diameter to devise your stent. This is the LCX run. You can see there is the LCX ostial area is around 5. Nothing needs to be done. Then we went ahead, prepared the vessel with the cutting balloon. After preparation with the cutting balloon, we placed the stent from left main to LAD. Now, this is one of our trial case in which we had to go for kissing balloon inflation. Before that, just see, this is the most important step. I am placing my pot balloon, distal marker not crossing the carina. So, this is I am trying to go distal stent start. So, whenever you are going for KBI in provision strategy, you have to go through the distal stent starts. So I'm trying to go from the distal stent studs. So in this case, we saw this is the L mode. So we always recommend that see all the three views, whether your stent, the wire has gone from the distal stent stud or not. Can you see here in the L mode, my wire has gone from the proximal stent stud. Even in the B mode, my wire is coming late after the carina. Just see here, my wire is coming late after the carina. So it's a proximal recross. You can confirm it with the 3D reconstruction. It's a proximal recross. So this is a part of our trial case. So we had to go for KBI. So again, this is a second recross. Again, proximal recross, confirmed it with the 3D reconstruction. Then after third cross, can you see it has gone from the distal stent stud? And even in B mode, it's coming early after carina. So whenever you are trying to assess whether your side branch wire has gone from distal or proximal, always look at all the three parameters. Look at the L mode, B mode, and go for the 3D reconstruction. Can you see 3D reconstruction? It has gone from distal stent stud. Then we went ahead, we did the KBI, and this is the fantastic example of when you do adequate distal stent stud recrossing and do a KBI. Can you see even your LCX ostium is also scaffolded by the stent studs? So that is the, can you see there are stent stud across the L6 ostium also? And this was the post-KBI result, hardly any stent stud across side branch ostium. So this is the proximal recross, second proximal, final distal, and this is after KBI. So this is the final angiographic result. So for provision stent strategy, before KBI, or always distal recross, confirm it with the imaging. You can see even with the IVUS also with the B mode and the L mode. So it's another case. Can you see in the L mode? It's a proximal recross, 3D reconstruction. This is a typical example of link type of carina. Can you see this is a carina? There is a link. So I try to recross from the distal stent studs. So in the B mode, L mode, I can see I have gone through the distal stent studs, and I confirmed it with the 3D reconstruction. And let me show you what happened after KBI. So in this, after doing KBI, can you see that link never broke? So that is the problem when you have got a link type of carina. Even after KBI, there will be some stent studs hanging across the side branch ostium. So this is the proximal recross example of link type of carina. I went distally, but this is the link. There are some stent studs that are hanging across the side branch ostium. So when you do a pot, appropriate pot, sometimes, many times you may not have any stent stud across side branch ostium. You may have a link-free type of carina. Can you see there is no link at carina? You may have a link type of carina, and this is example of distal recross. So whenever you are using OCT for provisional stent strategy, beside morphology, lesion length, proximal distal reference diameter, always look at the distribution of the plaque, whether you have got a calcium at the opposite to the side branch ostium. Look at the CT angle, look at the CTBP length. During PCI, if you are going for KBI, always confirm your distal rewiring with all the three modes, L mode, B mode, and 3D reconstruction. After PCI, look for the apposition, expansion, dissection, geographical miss, and always give MSS to the patient what you have achieved in the distal left main osteal LAD, what are the areas you have achieved, because that are directly linked with the outcome. So if you are going for, this is again the same thing, if you are going for a complex bifurcation, two-stent strategy, the answer, you have got n number of two-stent strategy, evidence is in favor of DK crush. We have got n number of trials that shows that DK crush is better than others two-stent strategy, but we have seen even at the 3-year follow-up of DK5 trial, the most common cause of failure is side branch restenosis. In an attempt to improve this side branch restenosis, we did this trial of OBSIBER left main study. This was a retrospective trial in which we tried to find out what are the imaging OCT predictor of side branch restenosis in left main bifurcation angioplasty, and we found that the side branch distal reference diameter and side branch stent expansion of less than 89% were independently associated with the side branch restenosis. We found that all the patients who developed side branch restenosis, they had a longer length of pneumometallic carina, and they had absence of clear figure of 8. And we thought that there are three things that could have happened, that in the second recross, we may have gone too proximally, we may not have used appropriate size balloon, and we may have missed alternate high pressure balloon dilatation. So based on this study, we have published this modified decay crush in JACC, in which these are some small modification. I'll take 1 minute. After placing your side branch stent, there should be one balloon from left main to LED as per the distal reference diameter of the main branch. Now you have placed this stent in the side branch. You know your stent is as per the distal reference diameter of LCX, and your LCX ostium is bigger. Just take out that balloon, dilate it at high pressure. So this is known as first PSO. If the difference is high, use another NC balloon. So this is a PSO being done. Now you are going for a crush with this balloon. You know this balloon is as per the distal reference diameter of LED. Your LED is 3.5, your left main is 5, your stent will not get crushed here. And moreover, while you are doing this crushing, your stent will get deviated away from this carina. So always go for step crush with a pot size balloon. Now your stent is deviated away from carina, but it is well crushed here. So can you see this stent boost? There is deviation of the stent stud from the carina. So here you can't go distal recross because you may go abluminally. So it's always advisable first recross in DK crush, in this modified DK crush, always go in, let us suppose you are doing wiring in an alveolar view, always go from the proximal half of the stent studs. This is a proximal recross. After you have done the proximal recross, first align your stent to the carina. This is the second PSO that is being done by the balloon that is appropriately sized to that of side branch ostium, and this is the second PSO being done. Can you appreciate between E and H, there is this deviation that has got corrected here. So after that, go for second KBI, then place a stent from left main to LED, do a pot, and now once you have done all these steps, you know your stent is well opposed to the carina, it is well crushed here. Now, as per our study, all the patients who developed side branch restenosis, they had a longer neometallic carina. Try and do recross, second recross from the distal stent stud, and now when you are doing final kissing balloon inflation, use appropriately sized side branch balloon. Never forget alternate high pressure balloon dilatation. This is the final kissing being done, final pot, and this is the exact image. That is how you get in after DK crush. And in this modified decation, we say it's a double kissing, double crush, double PSO, double pot with first proximal and second distal recross. So when you are using OCT for two stent strategy, again, beside morphology, MLD max, you look for the distribution. When you are going for recrossing, first recross in DK crush should be proximal, second should be distal. And once you have done a final PCI in the main branch, and always look for a clear figure of 8, length of neometallic carina, and do a 3D reconstruction. Thank you very much.
What Professor was telling us is how to use a dual lumen catheter to figure out whether you're in the same cell or in a different cell. That means if your wire is in and you've taken a dual lumen catheter in, and you've taken it over the side hole, and then through the end hole you go in, if your dual lumen catheter goes all the way into the side branch, that means you're in the same cell.
Yes.
Whereas if there is some difference, then it's in a different cell, and you can make out proximal. Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
So another way of doing it is go to the LED and try, take a bend and try and negotiate the, distal. But this is a fantastic way of checking it even without imaging also.
So I have two questions. One, if you use stent boost, do you need to re-OCT? You should be able to see the wire going through this cell.
But you have to,
the balloon markers, but you don't have to OCT.
You are absolutely correct. So it's as a part of trial, we have to see what kind of carina it is. Whether it's a link type of carina or not, you can't see it with the angiographic, number one. Yes, distal recross, you can appreciate whether you have gone distally or proximal with the stent boost. You're absolutely right. But type of carina, you can't differentiate. Yeah, because many a times we are seeing that if you have got a link type of carina, you are doing kissing, you are taking away some of the stent studs even from the main branch also. I'm not sure whether it will translate into outcome or not, but yes, it's very important to see whether your carina is link type or not, and what is the impact of KBI in these kind of patients. That is why what we are learning.
So I have an important question to follow on that, because I've sort of changed my practice for a provisional strategy to use a link type cell, right? I have 3 struts, it's stronger, I have a pot, it's gonna hold open my side branch. But when I'm doing now a dedicated pre-planned 2-stent bifurcation, I avoid link stents. I just take open cell stents. And so you can avoid that problem of having a layer over your metal which can potentially impinge. So I think it's actually very important that we think carefully about which stent platform we're going to use when we're performing dedicated 2-stent strategy versus provisional, because clearly there's advantage and disadvantage.
So in that case, probably we should be using link-free stents for provisional
For the large
always.
cell.
Because when you're using a linked stent for the main branch, there is still some chance because you're going to dilate that with with a non-compliant balloon 3 times during the course. But when you're doing a provisional, whatever you do, it's very difficult to push out because nobody's going to do a high-pressure side branch dilatation on an NC balloon at 24 atmospheres, because you're worried you're going to dissect the side branch. So I think that's a great point.
So even that also, if you have got a link-free type of, there is large cell, there are chances that you may have a link-free carina.
No, I think his point is to use a link-free stent. There's no chance of a link across. You just have to push the
I
stent
think
away.
that's a fantastic option. Yeah.
We have to be, I think we have wonderful evidence from October, right? But the likelihood of us practically performing that type of intervention in everyday practice is honestly very low, right? You can't do 6 OCT runs to make sure that you're in the right cell. Even if we want to, most people won't. And so we need simple, practical ways to be able to handle that. And one, for example, would be to use the
Link-free.
link-free
Yeah.
cell.